As Mads said, my name is Alexander, and at my daily life I am a student, and I am also a co-founder at a digital headhunting company called STATUM. So basically I spend almost every hour of my week moving people from one position to another. So I spend a lot of time looking at resumes, a lot of time speaking with candidates, and a lot of time talking to employers. And the insight I've gotten, I will share with you today. And hopefully my advices to you and my insight will help you in your career when you have to go out and land your dream job. So before we start, I would like to ask yourself a question. How would you sell yourself at a job interview? Take a minute to think about it. You can write it down in the reflections, and maybe it will have changed at the end of this talk. So the steps I will cover in this presentation is how employers think. How are they thinking when they sit on the other side of the table of you and when they read your application? That is crucial knowledge for you to have. Number two, how do you get the right experience? You know, everyone is always talking about experience, 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 and you're thinking like, well, how do I get this experience? I have some advices for you. And the last step, how can you use the knowledge and the experience to land your dream job? So let's get started. Step one, how does an employer think? The first thing you need to know is that they think of a recruitment as an investment. And unlike stockbrokers, they don't like risk. They want to hire a person where there's a really huge chance that they will earn money on this person. So they will think about how much money will they have to pay you before you generate some revenue. How much money and time will they have to spend training you? And how will you impact on the work environment? Will you have a positive influence or will you have a negative influence? That's basically what's on stake for an employer when they need to recruit. So I want to start by telling you how the screening process works. Because when you're writing a nice application and you send it forward to the company, of course you're not the only one. An employer receives between 100 and 1,000 applications. That depends on the company, of course. But you can figure out that they will not have a lot of time to look over each application and each resume. So how long time do you think that they will take to decide whether your resume is good or bad? It's actually only 5 to 7 seconds. Within that time frame, they have decided if you are a go or a no-go. And here's the bad news. If your resume is not good, they won't even read your application. So all the time and effort you have put in that will be wasted. So what do they look at in this screening process in these 5 to 7 seconds? Well, they look for valuable experience. And when I say valuable experience, it's sort of a proof that you can handle the position that you are applying for. Have you done something before that proves that you can handle this job? And it's not enough with an education. And I know that you heard this, but of course a valuable education is also something they're looking for, but experience is weighed so much higher. Actually, more and more companies have tried to look away from your education. A big company you might know, Ernst & Young, they are an accounting company. They have completely moved their degree classification. And this is an accounting company. It's a position where you would think, okay, you need to know math, you need to know like business stuff, otherwise you can't handle this position. But they have said, it doesn't matter for us, we just want to see experience. And more companies are going this direction. And don't worry, I'm not saying to you that you should just drop out of your education right now and go get some experience instead, because there will be some other people, other candidates out there who will both have the valuable experience and the valuable education, and of course they will get the job. So stay in school, but also get experience, and I will cover that later, how you will get that experience. So how do the companies think when they have you in for the interview? The interview is basically to see which kind of person you are compared to your resume, because everyone can write something amazing in the resume that makes them sound like the best candidate in the world. But are you the same person when you're sitting in front of them? Can they see that you really want this job, and can they see how you can fit into the work environment? Because that's something they are looking a lot for, your personality. How is your personality going to benefit this company? Actually, a company called Hyper Island, they made a giant survey where they asked companies all over the world to what matters the most in an interview. Is it the experience or is it the personality of the candidate? And personality won by far. 78% of all the asked companies said that we hire because of the personality. We don't hire because of the experience. Only 22% said we're hiring because of the experience. And this might be doctors and other companies where you actually need an education. And this is actually a global average. Here in Scandinavia, the personality is higher. It's 81%. The lowest company is United States. They don't really care about personalities over there, apparently. Maybe that explains their current position. The same survey also investigated the top personality traits that you need to have as a person. What are they looking for? And of course, I know there's been made so many of these, like a top 10 personality traits, top 5, top 20, etc. But the 3 traits that I've taken with me today is pretty consistent to what I see at my daily work headhunting for different companies. So the first one is open-minded. And I've brought a picture of Barack Obama fist pumping a cleaning man. I think you've all seen this picture, but I guess that this pretty much sums up what open-minded means. He's the president, he cleans the White House, but he doesn't care. He's open-minded to everyone, to his staff, and he's just the type of person that is likable. And that's why everyone loves Barack Obama, because he's open-minded. The second is creativity. And I'm not talking about artistical creativity, that you can make a nice painting. I'm talking about, if I give you an assignment, can you handle it? If I give you a job to do you need to run to your boss every second to ask for help, or do you figure out how to solve the problem? That's what company wants. And number 1 is they want someone who is driven. And another word for driven could be passion, which the next talk Daniel will be talking about. But they want something where they can see the fire in their eyes, or literally someone who will walk into fire to do their job. This is a photograph from National Geography who stands in lava to take a good picture, and his shoes and everything is on fire. He really gives himself for the company. I think we can all agree on that. And that's what the companies want. So that was basically how companies and recruiters think. So I said that if you want to get through the screening process, you need to have experience. But how do you get to have that experience? A lot of you might find yourself in this wheel where you need experience to find a job, but you need a job to get experience. So how do you get past this? My suggestion to you is that you create your own experience. And there are different ways that you can do that. The most common is that you go out and work volunteer. But my advice is don't go work at a soup kitchen or a homeless shelter, because of course you will do some good for the world and make some change, but it won't really benefit your resume. Instead, pick a volunteer work within your industry. I want to give you an example. One of my good friends, he started studying marketing, and at the same time he applied for a volunteer job at Red Cross. And he got a job where he went into Red Cross once a month and helped them in their marketing department while studying on the side. And half a year later, when he went into his second semester, he applied for a marketing position in a company which usually doesn't employ second semester, third semester, even fourth semesters. But he had some relevant experience, and he had worked volunteer, so he showed that he was driven and all the kind of things that a company wants. And he landed the job even though he was only second semester. And I'm not saying that that was the only reason why he landed the job, but it sure helped him. The second thing you can do is make a portfolio. So you have some proof that you can actually do things. And everyone can make a portfolio within their industry. Let's take marketing again. Everyone can make a blog and write content and show that you can attract people, readers to this blog. That's 101 in marketing. Can you create content and can you create traction? Show that you can do that. If you want to work in finance, take $1,000, put it into your account for stock and make it grow. Show that you can analyze the market in reality, not only in school, but in reality, and you can take money and make it grow. And of course, depending on which industry you're in, there's a lot of things you can do in a portfolio. And my third advice is to combine these two and start your own business. Because if you start your own business, you will basically work volunteer because you won't get paid a lot. And you will also make a portfolio that you can show if the business fails, and that will be a proof of your experience. So, how can you use this knowledge and this experience that you can gain to land your dream job? And when I say dream job, I don't mean like the kids here. When you were young, you thought, oh, I want to be an astronaut, or I want to be a cowboy, or whatever. Because most of you don't think that you have an exact dream job, but I reckon that most of you know where you want to go. So I want to give you some advice as to how you can end up in the right direction. The first thing you need to do is get through the screening process, of course. And an advice that you might have heard before is to call ahead. But this is actually really, really important. As I said, they can receive up to 1,000 applications, and they look at it for 5 seconds. But if you have called ahead and talked to the person reading this resume, maybe for only 2 or 5 minutes, then when they reach your name in the pile, there is a really good chance that you will be over in the other pile. Also, because you showed that you're driven, that you're passionate about the job, you actually picked up the phone and called them. You showed some initiative. So, what should you ask when you call ahead? I've taken a job ad from Job Index, and I've just highlighted a sentence out here. So trying to explain what I would do. I would read the application, the post, of course, and then I will find something where they haven't explained it quite well. So, the last sentence here. The graduate program consists of a functional business track which offers different opportunities. What I would do was to call and ask, this program sounds really interesting. Can you explain these different opportunities? Yes, of course. And then they will talk for 5 minutes because they are passionate about their job. And you can say, oh, that sounds so good. That sounds so amazing. I'm definitely looking forward to applying for this job. I really want this job. It sounds so amazing. When they reach you in the pile, I promise you, they will remember you. The next thing you need to do to get through the screening of these 5 to 7 seconds, or improve your chances anyway, is to make a custom-made resume. Most of you have probably heard that you need to make a custom-made application for each position you're applying to, but you also need to make a custom-made resume. I have taken 2 examples with me today. These are 2 resumes which are both applying for a sales position, an account manager position. And as you can see, both the candidates are really qualified. The one on the right has worked the past 2 years as an account manager and have shown some impressive achievements. But if we look further down, there is some marketing positions, and that's not really relevant for a sales job. So if we look over on the other candidates, it's also a sales position. He only chose to put in 3 jobs instead of 5, and he highlighted only the ones who were in sales. And he explained it thoroughly, what he has done, his responsibilities, his key achievements. I'm not saying that that candidate on the right is better than the candidate on the left, but I will pick the candidate on the right because the candidate is only focusing on what the position is actually about, so I can see some focus. So make a custom-made resume for each position that you're applying to. The last piece of advice I would give you to get through the screening process is when they come to your application, you need to write with passion. They need to see that you're driven. They need to see the fire in your eyes through your application. I've written a lot of applications where people have written something like, I've just read the application and it's very interesting, and I have now allowed myself to search this position. I hope you will take me into consideration. A lot of people write that. One of the best examples that I've written, that I have seen, I have taken with me today. A candidate wrote, "Dear Alexander, I just finished reading the job description and I'm so excited about it. I must have this job." And I agree it's a bit cheesy and it's a bit overselling, but I didn't read anymore. I just called him in for an interview because I could see that he was driven and passionate, and I had to meet this person in person. So now you've gone through the screening process and you have come to the interview. And here, of course, you will maybe be up against 5 to 10 other candidates, so you are far from home yet. So what you should do is be prepared. And when I'm saying prepared, I don't mean that you should know the company name and that you should come 10 minutes early, because that's basic stuff. Of course you need to do that. But you need to be prepared in a sense that you can present your value to the company. And I actually have an example from Student Talks. They needed to hire a PR person. And one candidate came to the job interview, and she had gone through the whole website, and she had completely redesigned all the text, rewritten it, so it was better. And she handed over at the job interview, and they immediately could see what she could provide for the company, and she was hired. That's the kind of thing you need to do. If you go into a marketing position, look through their marketing. See, okay, you are not very good on Instagram. This is what I would do on Instagram, for example. Also, I talked about how important personality is. But you all know these persons who kind of fake it because they want to be something that they don't are. Don't do that, because employers can see through that. Be yourself. And if you don't get the job, maybe that's for the best, because that's because you don't fit into the work environment, and then you will feel bad after 6 months. So be yourself, but be the best possible version of yourself. Come 10 minutes before the interview, put on a nice shirt, talk without swearing, all of those things. And my last advice for you at the job interview is to ask questions. Every employer or recruiter will, at the end of an interview, say to you, "So, do you have any questions?" And most people tend to think, "Oh, I don't want to ask any questions because it's really uncomfortable to be in here. And also, if I ask a question, will that say that I don't really have done my homework on the company or on the position?" I just think I will say, "No, I think we covered everything." Most do that. But the persons who stand out and the person who will get the job is the persons who show, again, that they want a job by asking questions. So you can ask questions to the position, and it don't have to be hard questions. It could be like, "So what does a typical day look like for me?" And they can go over that. "Oh, that sounds interesting. I can see myself in this and this and this and this." You can also ask questions that will put you in a position where you look good. For example, let's say that you have been told that a normal workday starts at 8. Ask, "So, you said that a normal workday starts at 8. Is it possible to get into the office 15 minutes earlier?" Again, it's cheesy, but you know that's the kind of thing an employer wants to see. They want to see that you're driven, that you want to give everything for the company, and they want to see that you will have a positive effect on the work environment. And a person who gets in 20 minutes before everyone else has a positive effect on the work environment. So, to come back to the question that I asked you in the start of this talk is, how would you sell yourself in an interview? I've given you some pointers now, and I've told you that you need to show the value that you can provide, but I want to give you like a trump to really land the job. And that's actually kind of what Mads told when he presented me. I was working at a company, and I've been there for 2 years, but I wanted to go back to school. But the company I worked in, they didn't have any part-time positions, so I needed to make up a position. So I looked into the company and said, "Okay, I've been here for 2 years. I've seen which employer can perform the job and who cannot. And I know we're spending a lot of money on recruiting companies, and they don't really get how the company works because they are external. So if I can get a part-time job, just finding the right person for this company and actually save the company money, then it would be a pretty good investment for the company and for myself." So as Mads said, I walked up to my boss and said, "I know you're spending around 100 to 200 Danish crowns per month on recruiting. Let me do it 20 hours a week, pay me 18,000, you will save a lot of money, and I guarantee you I will do a better job." It was hard for him to turn that offer down because he could save so much money. He knew which value I could provide. So what I did was I told him how he could profit from me. Not only the value I could give to the company, but I told him I will give you back your investment in me X amount of time. And if you do that at an interview, I guarantee you that you will land the job. Thank you.